Well, welcome to our Thursday morning devotions. We're continuing to reflect using Psalm 139 on the value of life, the meaning of life, where we get our identity from, that sense of self-will and self-purpose and self-importance. I wanted this morning to recognize that life beginnings are not always what we would hope for. Sometimes life, tragically, seems to come to an end almost before it's begun, bringing immense pain and such a deep sense of loss. Sometimes life comes, but all too soon it disappears. Sometimes life comes with additional needs. Sometimes life is terminated for all sorts of complex and painful reasons. And of course, all those who are caught up in that experience need to know love and compassion and God's healing grace. They don't need to be avoided or isolated or even worse, condemned. And tragically, sometimes in churches and Christian organizations, there has been a failure to love, a failure to walk the extra mile, a lack of respect for individuals, and a willingness to bring Jesus into the mess and the uncertainty of life. Sometimes there's been a tendency to want to stone people for getting into a mess, however we understand that. But of course, that was never high on Jesus' agenda. Instead, Jesus could always see the hope and the image of God, his Father, in people's lives, and realize that people warranted his love and his compassion. So let's again reflect on Psalm 139 and verses 13 through to 16. For you created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. I think it's fair to say that the church has always struggled for centuries to address that questions of what happens in relation to eternity, to the unborn child, or newly born babies, infants, young children whose lives are tragically cut short. What about those with severe additional needs? What the psalmist is trying to tell us here is that all of life is created in the image of its creator. And because of that, all of life is precious to God. All are known to God. Even before we were conceived, all are developed and crafted and watched over by Creator God. And God measures beauty and value in a very different way to sometimes the measurements that humans use. They are seen and they are known before we ever get to see and know them. And of course, the psalmist then goes on to say, well, our days are measured not in human terms alone, but in divine terms. And of course, God is not governed by chronos, human time. God is governed by eternal time. Simply put, God sees what we see so differently. And without diminishing the questions we have and the pain we so often feel that people are going through, these questions wouldn't go through God's mind. These beautiful and adored young lives, no matter how young they are, will be reunited with their Creator. We have our questions. God doesn't have those same questions. All of life returns to its Creator. We're so used to the idea of people having to opt in to become part of something that it seems difficult for us to grasp that until children can make their own choices and can be held accountable for their own actions, and of course that will vary enormously. And to add to that, some will never reach that point. Later, they may opt out through their own personal decisions. But as Jesus pointed out when welcoming children, they are of the kingdom of heaven. We can be sure, absolutely sure, that today, those we have loved and lost before seemingly they even had the opportunity to live are with Jesus and are safe with him. Maybe today we could pray for somebody that you know who's been through the pain of loss in the way that we have thought. Pray for their healing and the assurance that the one they have lost is safely with Jesus.
You wrote the story of my life. You go before, you fall